All right, let's just get right into it. We have all been there. You ask an AI for something, something simple, and what you get back is complete and utter garbage. It's so frustrating, right? And it makes you wonder, is this whole AI thing just a bunch of hype? Well, what if I told you the problem isn't the AI? What if the problem is us? I mean, you've seen this exact thing. On the one hand, you ask for a simple email and you get this soulless generic mess. But then you see someone else using the exact same tool get a response that's perfectly crafted, detailed, and actually useful. The gap between those two results feels like a mile wide, but today we're going to close it. And the secret is surprisingly simple. And there it is. Joseph Thacker, who's known as the prompt father, he just lays it out perfectly. When you get a bad result, don't blame the AI. Treat it as a personal skill issue. Now, I know that sounds a little harsh, but it's actually fantastic news. You know why? Because skills can be learned. This isn't about the AI being dumb, it's about us getting a whole lot smarter. So, to get smarter, we need a really fundamental mindset shift. See, most of us walk up to an AI like we're asking a question to a person, maybe a super smart intern, right? That is our first mistake. We need to stop being questioners and start thinking like programmers. We have to shift from just having a casual chat to giving deliberate, crystal clear instructions. This definition from Dr. Jules White over at Vanderbilt University, this is the whole key. A prompt is not a question. It's a call to action. Think about that. It's a program that you're writing with plain English. Every single time you type into that box, you are instructing a computer. You are giving it commands, not just, shooting the breeze. And the difference between these two ways of thinking, it's huge, and it explains everything. We humans, we think with logic, with reason, with a deep understanding of how the world works. An LLM, on the other hand, is basically the world's most advanced autocomplete. It's a prediction engine. It's just guessing the next most statistically likely word based on all the patterns it's seen before. So if you give it a vague pattern, you're going to get a vague response. Your job as the programmer is to give it an incredibly clear pattern to follow. Okay, so theory's over. How do we actually build that better pattern? Let's get practical. We're going to take a pretty terrible apology email from Cloudflare, and step by step, we're going to turn it into something genuinely amazing, using just a few foundational ideas. These are our 4 building blocks. I want you to think of them as 4 tools in our toolkit for getting that clarity we just talked about. Persona, context, output requirements, and examples. Each one of these forces us to be more precise, which leads to a more precise result from the AI. So let's start with the first tool, persona. So if you just ask for an apology email, you get a response that sounds like it was written by, well, nobody. It's generic, it's soulless, because you haven't told the AI who it's supposed to be. So let's fix that. Instead of a generic request, we'll say, you are a senior site reliability engineer for Cloudflare writing to customers and engineers. Just by giving it that role, we narrow its focus, and it can start pulling from a much more specific pattern of language and knowledge. Okay, so we gave it a persona, the tone is way better, but hang on a second. It just completely made up all the details of what happened. This is what we call a hallucination, and it happens because, remember, the AI is a prediction machine. It saw a gap in the information we gave it, and it just filled it in with what seems statistically probable. To fix this, we need to give it context. And this is absolutely crucial. Context is king. You have to remember, LLMs are trained on data up to a certain date. They're basically frozen in time. They have no idea what happened yesterday. So you have to provide all the necessary facts. Assume it knows nothing. And here's a pro tip from the researchers in Anthropic. You should explicitly give the AI permission to say, I don't know, if the answer isn't in the context you provided. If you don't, it will literally invent information just to please you. All right, we've got a persona, we've given it the correct facts, the email is accurate now, but it's still kind of long and boring. It's a snooze fest. This is where we need to get bossy. We have to tell the AI exactly how we want the output formatted. I mean, look how powerful this is. We can specify the length, the structure, the tone, and even what to avoid, like no corporate fluff. And suddenly, the email is crisp, clear, and professional. And this is where it gets really fun. We could change the tone to extremely anxious and panicked, with run-on sentences, all lowercase. The AI will do it, and it's hilarious. But it really proves just how much control you have. Now for the final foundational piece, and this one is a total game changer. It's called few-shot prompting. The idea is simple. Instead of just describing what you want, You provide one or two examples of exactly what a good output looks like. When you actually show the AI the pattern, you give it way less room to guess, and that leads to consistently fantastic results. Okay, so once you've really mastered those 4 foundational tools, you can start combining them in some really powerful, really creative ways. So let's just take a quick look at a couple of advanced techniques to see just how far we can push this. So first up is something called chain of thought. It's basically like telling a student to show their work on a math problem. You literally instruct the AI to think step by step before it gives you the final answer. This dramatically increases accuracy, and because you can actually see its reasoning, it also increases your trust in the output. This technique was so effective that most of the big AI platforms have actually baked it in as a feature now, like extended thinking. And this is where things get really creative. It's called the playoff method. The idea is to make the AI compete against itself to get a better result. So for our apology email, check this out. First, you'd have 2 different personas, say an engineer and a PR crisis manager, write 2 separate drafts. Each one brings a different perspective, right? Then you create a third persona, an angry customer, and have it deliver a brutal critique of both of those drafts. And finally, you tell the first 2 personas to collaborate on one final email that addresses all of the customer's feedback. By pitting these AI personas against each other, you get a way more nuanced and effective result. It's a seriously powerful way to work. So we've covered a ton of techniques, from the basic building blocks to these really complex methods. But they all point to one single powerful meta skill that underpins absolutely everything. So what is it? What's the ultimate secret? It's not some hidden technique or a fancy new framework. It's something much more fundamental. It is simply clarity of thought. You see, all of these prompting techniques, they aren't really about making the AI smarter. They're about forcing us to be clearer in our own thinking. Just think about it for a second. Every technique we covered is just a tool for specificity. Persona clarifies who is speaking. Context clarifies what the facts are. Few-shot prompting clarifies what a good result even looks like in the first place. These are all just scaffolds for our own thinking, forcing us to be precise before we ever hit enter. And this quote from prompting expert Daniel Missler just nails it. If you can't explain it clearly yourself, you can't prompt it. It's such a simple but profound insight. The quality of your prompt is a direct reflection of the clarity of your own thoughts. A messy prompt? Well, that means messy thinking. So, the big takeaway here is this. The next time you get frustrated with an AI, just stop. Don't start typing furiously. Instead, grab a notebook, open a blank document, and clarify your own thoughts. Figure out exactly what you need, what all the facts are, and what a perfect outcome would actually be. Think first, then prompt second. Ultimately, the AI is a mirror. It can only be as clear, as focused, and as intelligent as the instructions you give it. So if you get back a response that's confusing or generic or just plain wrong, the first question to ask isn't, what's wrong with the AI? It should be, what is this result telling me about the clarity of my own request?